Call of Duty is like an amusement park, running its same bread and butter operation for 20 plus years and becoming one of the go-to destinations for playing pretend shoot-a-man. With yearly iterations comes new attractions. Zip around the battlefield with exosuits. What if we all did swan dives and spam grenades? Hey, you remember Rust? You remember Captain Price? What if we just did that again? And some of those attractions become ingrained in the DNA of the experience and become fan favorites that get to stick around for years to come. Black Ops 6 is the latest entry to introduce a new ride to the amusement park, and this slip and diving masterpiece is called Omnimovement. Which sounds like a move used by a Final Fantasy boss, not a fundamental mechanic in the world's biggest FPS game, but I digress. Michael Bay would tear up watching this bad boy in action because Omnimovement is the star of the whole show, a complete game changer for the Call of Duty franchise and FPS games as a genre. It is the absolute definition of action hero complex, and this bolstered toolset alongside some slick gunplay and some of the best feeling weapons in any Call of Duty in recent memory elevate what could have easily been another far too safe COD title. Over the years, Treyarch has nearly perfected the art of making players able to zoom around maps, constantly adapting new features to increase mobility and options. Sometimes it feels like there's a little bit of oil slick on the ground, but regardless, it's a fun way to move. Black Ops 6 is the magnum opus of that dedication to slip and slides for the military because Omnimovement opens up every possible angle of attack. You may be wondering, now that I've said it like 4 times, what the hell is Omnimovement? And first off, don't curse here, there are definitely children in this lobby. But secondly, Omnimovement means diving, sprinting, leaping, falling, and strafing in whatever direction you darn well please. It's as if Max Payne and Die Hard's John McClane were the lead designers for the gameplay here, because there is something so inherently action hero-esque about diving to the side while firing off a massive number of bullets to take down an unsuspecting foe. When I say this fundamentally changed the way the gameplay of Call of Duty felt for me, I mean it. I usually take a more deliberate pace in these games despite the design practically shoving me down a flight of stairs that reads high reaction twitch shooting, but Black Ops 6 has me doing party tricks diving from the 2nd story building to take out an enemy on the ground, throwing myself backwards while throwing an impact grenade to take out 2 targets, or even just utilizing the any direction sprint to pull off what can only be described as the donut of sliding. Combine this with a plethora of excellent perk options, and I really do feel like this is peak Call of Duty. And it's not just the new movement system working the dopamine rush in the game at all times, but the weapons all feel equally viable and handle extremely well. My personal favorites became the XM4 and AEK. They became my go-to weapon for the vast majority of my playtime, but the sheer variety of ways to utilize these arms in this game is kind of astonishing. And look, all the recent Call of Duty games have had the gunsmith, where you can unlock new attachments and build your own weapon loadouts, but it's never felt like the attachments meant as much as they do in this game. A lot of what makes Call of Duty work is a snappy but not too quick time to kill. For the most part, the hit detection and time to kill are solid in this game, with a reasonable amount of bullets required to down an enemy. Finding the balance in your attachments to help smooth out that kill time is, I suppose, the meta of the game, but I think it comes down to how you use your weapon more than anything else. Like the gunsmith, the specialist system also returns for perks, offering some new buffs and bonuses for using the same trait-typed perk. Recon perks offering a chance to briefly use wall hacks to see enemies through the wall, Enforcer bringing some adrenaline junkie type shit with it, letting you heal and gain movement boost from getting kills, which is unhinged, and Strategist offering up a score bonus for objectives and destroying enemy equipment, which you'll also be able to see through walls. This gives players a real chance to pick their preferred playstyle and not just to stick to the fastest one in their arsenal. Okay, now that I've given some praise here, this is the part of the review where I'm going to break from that, and I'm going to throw some serious critical rants out like a throwing knife to the dome of the Activision teams. Call of Duty. How have you been doing this for 20 years, and your game still suffers from some of the worst spawns I've ever seen in any FPS ever, and I have played some garbage shooters. How hard is it to make sure I have some chance of survival on spawn by just simply, I don't know, checking to make sure an enemy's not coming around the corner? Or even better, don't spawn me directly in the line of sight of someone who is aiming at the place where I'm about to spawn. Also, maps range from claustrophobic to unbearably spread out, but the gameplay is too chaotic and fast for either of those sizes. You needed a mid-sized sedan, not a Hummer or a moped. Okay, well actually, let's talk about map design, because map design in this game is actually pretty interesting. You see, initially I felt all the maps felt weirdly laid out and were way too inconsistent. Then I started thinking about it in terms of loadouts. Each map is clearly designed to drive you towards a certain set of loadouts or playstyles. There's a best selection for all of them. Maps like Scud are perfect for mid-range weapons with great corridors for snipers. Rewind has a great variety of options for mid and long-range weapons, but the tight interiors are begging for SMGs to run rampant. Then there's maps like Stakeout, a never-ending massacre of spawns directly next to or around the corner from an enemy. It's like the chaotic and close brother of Rust, but somehow more unhinged. If you're not constantly moving, if you're not constantly shooting, and if you don't have something that can fire from the hip pretty quickly, you're going down. Regardless, once I found my footing finding a loadout to match a map, I had a lot more fun playing the game. Let's talk a minute about the menus in this game. I don't normally go into a lot of details on UI. For the most part, the UI here is non-offensive. I'm not actually talking about the UI within the gameplay. I'm talking about the menus, which I was going to applaud for being updated and streamlined, except sometimes switching menus causes the game to crash. I turn off crossplay when I'm playing with my PlayStation friends, and boom, it switches itself back on every single match. Why? Look, I'm just saying, I enjoyed my time with this game, but I had a hard time getting past some of these flaws, especially considering how many times I crashed from doing basic stuff. I look at all the money that went into the Activision Blizzard purchase and I wonder where it all goes. Surely there's a way to fix this. Okay, the side dish rant is over. Let's get back to the main course of the review. One thing that Call of Duty has always consistently nailed is the bread and butter game modes, and that is still true here. I prefer hardcore to the basics, but team deathmatch, domination, hardpoint still reigns supreme across the entire game. There's new modes like HVT. It's a fun twist on an established formula, letting a randomly assigned high-value target gain armor and the ability to be revived, putting players in a position to defend their high-value target while also taking down the enemy's high-value target. Problem is, no one played the game like that. Rarely did this result in players actually playing differently than team deathmatch. Hell, half the time when I was the HVT, I didn't realize I was the HVT until a shotgun shell hit me 4 times in the chest, and I was like, I feel like I should have died on the first one of those. No, those tried and true game modes still hit that excellence mark and offer the best experience overall. On the smaller side, Gunfighter returns, which has you executing teams of 2 with predetermined loadouts. This mode can feel kind of like a puzzle that you have to solve while also competing against a couple of strangers who are trying to solve the mystery of why you're not riddled with bullets. This mode is perfect for teaming up with your buddy who is really good at communicating and rocking the ever-loving crap out of some randos. Other than that, it's business as usual across Call of Duty.
They shoot you, you shoot them back.
Call of Duty has been at this for a long time, and I've thrown a lot of harsh criticism at them over the years. But man, it almost pains me that it is undeniable that when it comes to snappy, crunchy gunplay with a movement set that feels legitimately freeing, nobody, and I mean nobody, does it better than Call of Duty. Which is why the constant server issues, poorly balanced lobbies, and a million other small bugs are such a downer. How can you be at the peak of the genre when you can't even handle the basic stuff? Look, Black Ops 6 puts all of its eggs in the omnimovement basket, and for the most part, I think that paid off. There is something so cinematic about the way this game handles its combat that I just couldn't put it down. Like it or not, Black Ops 6 is the peak of the series' multiplayer ambitions. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing in the long run is yet to be determined. But for now, it's a solid 8 for me. Now to get through my prestige ranks before Season 1 starts. For Hardwired, I'm Andrew Hamilton.